are you feeling? New season, ready to go again?
Yeah, absolutely. Disappointing for myself last year to pick up an injury towards the back end of it, but I think we had a really productive pre-season and ready to tear in now.
How are the boys feeling after? There's a big gap between the seasons, obviously, but they finished the season so strongly last year. Do you feel like there's a bit of momentum there you can kind of carry in to start this season?
No, certainly. That's a massive bonus for us. You said we underperformed at the beginning of the season, and then we started getting momentum. We started playing better rugby, and we started putting teams to the sword. And I think we've really carried that into the pre-season as well. I think there's a good buzz around the team, and when you finish the season strongly, that always carries to the next one.
It seemed last year that it took to get to that point where the pressure was really on to put a run of results together before the team sort of hit their straps. How do you put that pressure on yourselves to come out the blocks this time?
Yeah, I think you've talked about the pressure there. Something we highlighted and something I recognised as well was we were playing teams. So if we were playing teams who were really flying, they had a good run of games, we generally matched their intensity. But when sometimes the intensity dropped off, we weren't rising above that. We weren't holding ourselves to a higher standard. So I think mainly what we've worked on in the pre-season is that consistency from how we're playing from game to game as well.
What do you think this team can achieve this season?
I mean, we want to win the league, really. I think we talked about it. It happened because people believe in it day in, day out, and having silverware in the cabinets, I think that's the only goal.
People will look at that and say, well, Edinburgh haven't been in the mix in recent years, so what gives you the grounds for that optimism that this can be your year?
Because I believe in it. I think that's all there is. I think, Edinburgh have traditionally underperformed. I think last year, like I said, beginning of the season was disappointing, but the momentum we carried from the back end, if we can show that all the way through this season and put games back to back, I think that's something we can definitely achieve.
The squad is definitely younger. There's a lot of experience that's moved on, and people might look at that as a negative, but in another way, they might bring a bit of fearlessness. They don't have the baggage that's maybe been associated with Edinburgh over the years. Can that work in your favour?
Listen, I'm only talking about the boys who I play with, and there's definitely some young talent coming through. There's like Liam McConnell. He's one of the lads I'd highlight as having an exceptional pre-season. And there's, I could listen to 10 more, but I think there's certainly a drive in those young lads coming through, and that's something that really is refreshing for us older boys as well.
It does feel like a group that's always had good leaders, and the experience that kind of comes to the fore. Obviously Maggie now takes on the mantle of club captain. How strong is that, and how important is that kind of experience, leadership kind of core in here?
No, definitely. Like in any team, you always want a strong base of leaders. I think there's a balance to strike between having everybody something to say and then relying on one person. But I think we've struck the balance right. You've got some boys with leadership experience in there. You've got Grant, you've got Benny Velicott, they co-captained the team last year. Maggie's captained the team quite a fair bit as well. So I think we've definitely got we've struck the balance right.
You talked about the belief and how much the guys believe in what can be achieved this season when you're coming off the back of a couple of more disappointing finishes for this club. Does it kind of sting that Edinburgh aren't generally talked about in those terms as being contenders? Like, does that hurt, or do you feel it's understandable given the last two finishes?
Listen, you've got to acknowledge that we have, like I said, we've traditionally underperformed as a team, but I'm only thinking about what we can do this year, and I'm taking the momentum from those last 6, 7, 8, 10 games of last season, and we're taking that, and that's what I'm running with.
Yeah, we want to continue that. The real physicality that you guys showed in that towards the end of that season. It was something that seemed to excite the fans as well, and that the players were really getting behind.
Yeah. I'm not looking 30 years back and being like, oh, Edinburgh haven't won anything 30 years ago. I'm looking at what we're going to do this year.
Well, if you were looking 10 years back, for example, what would you say to a kind of 20-year-old player coming through that you've got in this squad to kind of get to the place where you are, to play as many games as you have? What would be your advice to them coming through?
What would be my advice to a young lad coming through? Don't play tired. It varies so much from position. For me personally, I think there's a lot of cutting your teeth. You're going to have bad days at the office. Just don't worry about it. Truck on to the next thing. And when I was up and coming through, just throwing yourself in every single rep, doing everything you possibly can. Something I'm probably doing a little bit less of nowadays, but and enjoy it as well. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're having a good laugh, it makes life easy.
Are you aware that those players might be kind of looking up to you as a role model when you're playing next to them?
I try not to think about it like that. I just try and do my job really, and I'd say, you probably are a little bit aware of it, but I just try and do the same job if they're looking up to me or not.
And kind of with more time settled, I know you had that spell of injury. Have you kind of been able to enjoy kind of everything Edinburgh has to offer? To just enjoy the city itself?
Yeah, definitely. It's beautiful part of the world. Bit more sun would be nice, but it's sunny today, so I'll take that.